Gene Burnett from geneburnett.com. Hey, I thought we'd talk a little bit today about developing attributes rather than memorizing techniques or focusing completely on techniques. This is particularly true of things like Tai Chi. Like, there are a lot of Tai Chi movements that are very, very ornate or fancy or kind of impractical looking. Like, you might see this move. We call this move, ride the tiger. So in this position, I have my, it's often done with a sword or a stick. Someone is swinging for my leg. I'm getting my leg out of the way and chopping their hand or hitting their weapon or hitting their arm. I could also be blocking something high and low at the same time and removing that foot. And this is the kind of movement that you can sculpt into all kinds of martial scenarios. It could be a throw. There's all kinds of ways you can say this is a technique. And then you can develop, drills, and someone can be, swinging at your leg, and you can be doing this, and you can develop this as a technique, knowing the application of the movement. And that's a nice thing to do. It's nice to know the purpose of these movements physically and what your kinetic chain is, what your target is, what you're doing. But realistically, you could get in 1,000 machete fights, and you could get in 1,000 baseball bat fights, and you could get in 1,000 street fights, and any other kind of fight you can think of. And the chances are you'd never be able to take a still photo of you in this position while you're fighting. You might do some little side thing, but maybe. But you're never going to do these things in real life. So thinking that enough practice and enough training and enough drilling on the application and enough just being in this posture is going to enable you to do that move under pressure in a real situation is, I don't think very realistic. And I don't think it's a worthy endeavor, to tell you the truth. I just don't think it's worth spending time on. But I'll tell you the way I approach Tai Chi, and this movement, this particular movement, and all the movements, but this one in particular, here's what I get from doing this movement. Okay, so first of all, this movement has what I would call some bone level benefits. And the bone level has got to do with my skeleton. So I have to align my skeleton, and mostly that means tucking my hips a little bit and lifting my chest a little bit. Not puffing it out, that doesn't work. But lifting the chest a little bit, tucking my hips, dropping my chin a little, and taking my head back. And it's especially important here because if I don't do any of those things, I lose my balance, right? So I have to attend to that posture, particularly because I'm on one leg here, right? And so there's a skeletal, kind of postural benefit to this. Also, within this movement, I want to be relaxed. I want my muscles to feel kind of heavy and soft, so there's a sense of not being at the surface of my skin, holding this tight, but more like I'm resting in the movement. So I'm just going to switch legs here. I'm resting into the movement so that there's a kind of a quality of heaviness to it. And then I also want to open my joints inside the movement so the joints aren't held tight. The joints are held loosely so that I feel as though I'm in a slight motion when I'm in the position, right? Not trying to be still. I'm trying to be on the alert and ready to move, to do whatever I need to do. So from here, I want to be able to just hop over here, or hop over here, or just be agile and be able to move anywhere I want to move. So I don't just hold this position and think of one moment with a sword. To me, this is a position to find the Tai Chi, the unforced balance within. So I also want a springy strength in my leg. So I do a lot of bounces in this position. Like if I do 130 here, it's about a minute. And I often do that. Sometimes I do sets of 50 or sets of 25, right? So I'm going to be, this is my weaker ankle. So again, it forces me to find my alignment, find my structure, soften the muscles, soften the joints, relax my breath, and hang out in this position. So by hanging out in this position, developing this springy strength, this readiness to move, this aligned posture that's also able to kind of keep its alignment while I'm in motion, right? Or while I'm under stress, or while I'm on one leg. So, all of those things definitely come in handy in everyday life. Springy legs, like being able to move my body around, being able to go to one leg, being able to hang out on one leg, being able to shift my weight and move and go in any direction as I feel it, having good posture in general in life and a good sense of my mechanics and alignment. Also relaxation, so I'm not keyed up at the surface, but I'm also not collapsed. Real relaxation is a conversation. It's not a dead state. It's not a wired state. It's kind of a dynamic conversation between motion and stability, and between yin and yang, between hard and yielding, all those things. Developing that conversation and those tools within my body, I learned from being in this position and doing these bounces. That's super, super useful in daily life, right? That comes up all the time, like being able to move towards and away from things. If I'm thinking about fighting or self-defense situations, like having looseness and relaxation in my body, that there's a relaxation within the powerful or more harder movements of fighting, all those kind of things, like that comes in handy. Not this. I'm never going to do this. As Steve Smith, one of my martial art sort of cousins in Seattle area, likes to say, push-ups don't work in a fight either. I just love that. Because it's a great analogy. This is basic training. This isn't fighting training. This is basic training. And so you study basics here, and then, like in most arts, you learn from the drills and the exercises the attributes that you then recombine and improvise with in real life, whether that's music or whether that's martial arts or sports or whatever. You don't expect the perfect pitch when you learn from drills, and a guy might throw you 20 curveballs and you're just working on hitting curveballs. But then when you go out there, that's just one of your attributes is hitting curveballs. You might not throw a curveball. So you've got to put it together in a fresh way. Even a rehearsed piece of music, if you want to have real life in that music, you have to recreate it. You have to bring something fresh and brand new to it, not the thing you memorized, not the tempo work. You're in the street. You have to play to the street now, which is an improvised context, which is an unpredictable, messy, difficult context. You might have a drunk dude in the back screaming at you while you're playing. That's not in the form. So anyway, if you have these attributes going in your form, if you're learning attributes in your form, it doesn't matter if the movement is practical. You're not going to get in a street fight and do this. This. And you're not going to be in a street fight and do this, or God forbid this. You're not going to do any of those movements, but within those movements, you're learning target practice, you're learning kinetic chains, you're learning flow between movements, and hopefully you're learning some universal qualities that will enable you to go in any direction. So even though you're doing, say, a set move, you could walk away from that move and keep the same qualities in your body and mind. So just a little balance there. I like techniques and I like drills, but I don't get attached to them and think this is what I'm going to do out there. This is what I'm learning about attributes in here. The attributes is what I want to use out there. I'm always telling this story because it's the main one that happened recently. Is just, it's not recent, it was a couple years ago, but I caught this dude at a bar who was tipping and falling over, and I saw him trip, and I had to make a million adjustments, but by the time I got him, he was almost horizontal, and I righted him and set him on his way. And I realized afterwards that everything I did, I learned from Tai Chi, situational awareness and adjusting my speed to the situation and using my legs and not my arms to do the work and gluing my center to his and all that stuff. Everything I did was, I learned from Tai Chi forms and exercises, but none of it resembled any of those exercises. I put together the pieces in my own spontaneous way. Actually, I didn't think about this. My body just did it. I gave it the tools and it grabbed him and did some work, which hopefully helped this guy. So I know it helped this guy. He probably would have broken his wrist at least. So anyway, that's my pitch for today. Enjoy the attributes, focus on the attributes that you're developing while you're doing your basics, and don't expect those techniques to be exact out in the world. So thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it. If this is useful to you, please leave me a comment, because I'm making these videos and putting them out there to be useful. These are ideas and things that have worked for me and worked for my students, and I want to share them. I'm not doing this to make money, although I do have a tip jar in the description of this video, and I've got tip jars on my website, geneburnett.com, but that's just an opportunity for people who want to support me that way to be able to, and believe me, it's appreciated, but it's not why I'm doing this. If there was no possibility of getting a tip, I would still do this. So yeah, comments are great, tips are great, just enjoying this video is great. So thanks very much, good luck with your training, and take it easy.